with him for so many years, it's amazing to see a kid from a man to a grown man.
As they were going to announce this fight initially, DV allegations dropped. Tank was arrested and it was once again put in doubt.
Before the fight was canceled on Monday after a civil lawsuit filed by ex-girlfriend Courtney Rozelle accused Davis of battery and aggravated battery.
Calvin Ford breaks down in tears during a live broadcast after learning about Gervonta Tank Davis's arrest. His voice cracks as he talks about the journey they've shared, how he took Tank from the dangerous streets of Baltimore and helped guide him toward championship greatness. Ford reflects on watching Tank grow from a troubled young kid into a global superstar. But as he speaks, the weight of the moment overwhelms him. Years of hard work, sacrifice, and dreams seem to crumble in front of him. Ford admits that seeing everything fall apart like this feels like a personal heartbreak, as though the unstoppable momentum they once had has suddenly come to a painful halt.
That is crazy. That's why I said that. I said, yo, you can't write this, man. You cannot write this. My experience being gone, all the stuff that I went through, preparing me for where I'm at today. You know, and Tank was older. He had the lessons, getting his lessons of what he got to do, take us the rest of the way. And this is his take us the rest of the way.
The controversies surrounding Gervonta Davis are not new. Throughout his rise, he has faced multiple legal and personal challenges. Earlier in the year, the mother of his children accused him of mistreatment, a case that later got dropped, but not before igniting widespread headlines. Soon after, another woman filed a separate lawsuit, further intensifying scrutiny. Even though one case was dismissed, the repeated nature of these situations has heavily affected his public image. Analysts note that for high-profile athletes like Davis, private matters rarely stay private. Every action, mistake, or allegation gets magnified under the media spotlight. Fans and critics alike judge fighters not only on what they do inside the ring, but on their character outside of it. In the world of elite sports, success alone cannot shield someone from the consequences of public exposure. The ongoing controversies surrounding Davis highlight how fragile reputation can be, and how personal issues, if persistent, can overshadow even the most remarkable accomplishments.
Match never happened. The Paul camps still thought Tank is a big enough name regardless of his previous result to go ahead with this bout. But just as they were going to announce this fight initially, DV allegations dropped. Tank was arrested and it was once again put in doubt. Then the charges were dropped. A week later, they announced the event. So that kind of brings us to today. This event hasn't been smooth sailing so far, and it was almost destined that there would end up being a few more bumps in the road before we actually saw the two facing off. And about as big of a bump as you could really get has now hit the promotion. A civil suit has been filed against Tank, in which his ex-girlfriend accuses him of aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. While it was also reported by ESPN that a report has been filed additionally with the Miami Gardens Police Department last Tuesday. However, as I'm recording this, there's yet to be any criminal charges. Now, these alleged incidents happened last month, which was after the announcement of the fight. You would think if you're Tank on the verge of the biggest payday he's ever gotten, he would be doing anything to stay out of trouble, yet he continues to find himself in negative situations again and again. But in saying all of this, everything at the moment is very much alleged, and I'm not really here to talk about the validity of these claims. What I am here to talk about though is the impact this might have on the boxing event in a couple weeks time. Now, Tank vs Paul, love or hate the idea of it, was definitely one of the most viewed fights of the year. Although there are rumors of there being poor ticket sales, the at-home audience.
Boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. commented on the situation, saying that Davis has been dealing with personal and legal troubles for quite some time, and this latest lawsuit merely adds to a growing pile of stress. According to Jones, many within the boxing scene were already aware of Tank's past issues, so the new controversy didn't come as a complete shock. However, the timing could not have been worse. With a major fight against Jake Paul on the horizon, Davis was already under pressure. Now, the cancellation of that event has only added more weight on his shoulders. Jones explained that this combination of public criticism, legal complications, and lost career opportunities is creating one of the most difficult periods Davis has faced so far.
Didn't work out. Just what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
Man, I really don't want to even have much to say about that because everybody take it the bad way. But all I'm gonna say is this: Jake Paul knew what it was when he first signed the fight. This ain't the first time he had battered against a woman. You knew what it was when you first signed the fight. So don't get mad and cuss him out and talk bad about him now. You knew what it was when you signed up for it. Come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's not do that. Nobody talk. I don't talk bad about him either. But don't do the dude like that. No, the dude having a hard time in his life right now. Don't just do him like that. You know what I mean? Because you knew exactly what he was when you signed him to fight the first time. All I gotta say.
Tank's team has kind of been bringing that, like, talking about just some of Jake's past, and more kind of said that Jake said he's actually afraid to fight Tank. I mean, do you think it leaned a little more on that side, and they're just selling it the other way?
I already know what it is. Like I said, I already know. I'll get into it, but you know, we all know when young guys go through issues.
Jake Paul later shared his own perspective, claiming that during the incident Davis was completely sober and fully conscious of his actions. According to Paul, there was no indication that Tank was attempting to blame the situation on intoxication or impaired judgment. Instead, Paul's comments portray Davis as fully responsible for what happened. Paul's remarks, though not legally verified, provide insight into how he interpreted Tank's behavior behind the scenes. Because of Paul's massive social media influence, his statements quickly fueled public conversation and speculation. They also highlight the larger reality that fighters like Davis live under constant scrutiny, or even private moments can become viral talking points. The tension between personal struggles and public perception is a recurring challenge in professional boxing, and Paul's statements only added more complexity to the situation.
Was on Aiden Ross, and he shared a story about Jake Paul, about Gervonta, and he said, look, Aiden, it was 4:15 in the morning. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Gervonta Davis was sober. He got sober into a car and drove out there at that hour to do this. This guy is extra bad. Let me repeat that. Let me repeat that. Jake Paul said that Gervonta Davis left his house sober and went to Tootsie's nightclub sober. I just want you to put your common sense hat on. How in the world would he know that? Does Jake Paul talk to Gervonta Davis? Did Gervonta Davis tell Jake Paul I was sober when I left the house? Did Jake Paul have a camera in Gervonta Davis's car? Did he have a breathalyzer in Gervonta Davis's car? Did Jake Paul get toxicology reports from 3 days ago from Gervonta Davis? I am just curious as to how in the world Jake could possibly know that Gervonta Davis was sober. Let me tell you for sure, I will have a drink now and then. If I take a couple shots of vodka and I walk out the house, I'm a little buzzed. Sometimes my wife doesn't even know. How do you know, Jake? The answer is you do not. You are just trying to add something to the story to make Gervonta look worse. It wasn't enough that Gervonta...
Coach Kenny offered a deeper, more philosophical take on Davis's situation. He explained that reaching the top of professional boxing comes with enormous pressure that most outsiders cannot fully understand. Every top fighter goes through phases of adversity, scrutiny, and emotional strain. Kenny emphasized that setbacks, whether legal, personal, or professional, do not erase the years of dedication Tank has poured into his craft. He reminded fans that greatness is never a smooth journey. It is built on resilience, discipline, and the ability to move forward even when the world seems stacked against you. According to Kenny, Davis's current challenges are not the end of his story, but another test of who he is. His message was clear: despite everything, Tank's foundation of skill, hard work, and determination still stands strong.
This hype that becomes a love and hate with this sport, you know, when you're in it, right?
I think fighters have always loved the sport itself, it's the bullshit that comes with it behind the scene, you know, dishonesty and shit like that. This should get on my nerve.
Yeah.
Not saying that's what Tank's situation is, just the sport period. I'm speaking on the sport, man. If people would be honest and jokers really take fights like they said they would, but behind the scene they not taking the fight, but on social media they gonna take the fight. It's a bunch of bullshit, man. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's the shit that I don't like about the sport. And the promoters need to come together, man, and let the guys fight. Problem is, you need a fighter to carry each promotional company. The promotional company don't want to put their man in there with no real fighters, because their company gonna flop. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they won't let. That's why the big fights ain't happening. If fighters can take a loss and still and keep on taking that, all this new generation shit is crazy. I've seen guys with 10 losses.
Following the legal complications, Jake Paul officially canceled the exhibition match with Davis. In his letter, Paul claimed that Davis appeared mentally checked out, unfocused, frustrated, and uninterested in the fight's preparation. He pointed to visible tantrums and a lack of professional engagement as signs that Tank was no longer committed. The cancellation emphasized how deeply personal issues can interfere with an athlete's career. High-profile opportunities can vanish instantly when distractions become overwhelming. Observers noted that the situation highlights a delicate truth in sports: personal stability is often just as important as physical performance. When an athlete's personal life becomes chaotic, it can disrupt everything from training schedules to major business deals.
You know, I don't know if it's true what they said. I just know that they were saying he was showing up late to promo shoots, and he was, you know, just being a diva, just being a difficult person to work with. And the thing I always tell anybody, I don't care what age you are, whenever you're working with somebody, when you're on a set, you know, when you're in a corporation, whatever it is, the thing that will keep money in your pocket and always keep you working is when those individuals say that person is a pleasure to work with. When they say you're a pleasure to work with, I promise you, you will always get phone calls. That's why I walk in the room. It's just my nature anyway, because, you know, just the way my anxiety's set up, I need to know who's who. So I speak to everybody, I look in everybody's eyes, I'm really observing to make sure I don't see anything bulging in any places where there might be pistols or anything else, but I'm saying hi to everyone. I speak to everybody in the room. I speak to everybody when I leave. I'm polite because I used to sell crack and work at Taco Bell, and I understand how much of a blessing it is to be in these positions. There's no way that I'm going to be, you know, getting tens of millions of dollars like Gervonta Davis is and be acting like a diva. And I'm not saying he was, I'm just saying if the rumors are true. You know what I mean? If the rumors are true, because that's what I was told. And you know, I heard they were just looking for a reason to part ways. So
I mean, that's a good reason. I think he has a good point too. It's just like, you know, he built his platform a lot, or Jake, on female fighters.
Absolutely.
So maybe he should support Gervonta, because he supports the beating of women.
Yeah, but not by other genders.
Also, I got it.
And also, too, maybe Tank isn't used to
Nobody has paid people more money to beat women.
Former champion Paulie Malignaggi criticized Jake Paul's reaction, arguing that the controversies surrounding Davis were not new and that Paul should have expected them. Malignaggi pointed to previous public incidents and videos showing Davis in questionable situations, saying that the boxing world was well aware of his past behavior. He accused Paul of acting surprised only now, despite the fact that Davis's reputation had been shaped over years. Paulie's remarks suggest that anyone choosing to work with Tank should anticipate potential complications. His criticism reinforces the idea that Davis's challenges have long been present and that entering negotiations with him requires understanding that history.
Because it's, I don't know, it's like damn if you do, damn if you don't. He had already had this history. He's trying to be better. And this is something that had already happened in the past, right? I mean, this was already known when they signed.
Yeah, he wasn't arrested.
He did this prior to this being signed, so you already knew this happened. It was regurgitated as a civil suit, right, but it was already something that everybody knew had happened in the past. So it's not like something new happened after he signed the fight. So that's what I don't understand, and that's why I don't want to see that. You know, right. I don't want to see that the kids still lose out on it that way for that reason. Because I don't know, to me it doesn't add up. You know, it already happened. You knew it happened, and you made the fight anyway. So now, based on something you already knew happened. Now you're just saying, oh no, because this happened, we're not going to do the fight. But you knew already in the first place.
Yeah, the history was already there.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And for this particular situation, by the way, mind you, the girl now is coming with a civil suit.
Yes.
She probably saw that he signed the Jake Paul fight, and the Jake Paul exhibition. Now he's gonna make more money. They don't let's sue him. You Momo, you should have let him get the payday first if that was what you were after, at least in the first place. Because yeah, he's made money in the past, but he's not gonna get that payday now. Obviously, the reason you set those civil there's obviously a reason why the civil suit comes now of all times. His name's in the headlines for the Jake Paul fight. So this Momo thinks that the money's already in the bank. It's not in the bank until you do the show, and now the show's off. So if that's what you were after, you cut your own possible winnings and fractionalize them.
Right, and what we're looking at now is it looks like Netflix has moved on. They want a different opponent. The problem is, Paulie, and we have a list, of course, Boxing Scene today, Lance Pugmire doing a list of possible replacements. Paulie, before we get into the actual names, what kind of person would take this fight? They're saying it would be delayed maybe to December, but this idea that are you already in shape? Is it a fighter who's not in shape right now? Is it someone getting ready for a fight? Well, but you want him beatable, but not gonna embarrass Jake Paul.
But sellable enough, marketable enough. Listen, Jake is very good at. I always say Jake doesn't set up fights, but he stacks the deck. There's a difference. You can't blame Jake for. Personally, me. And everybody thinks these fights are set up. I've never thought they were set up. The way I read the situation is the deck is stacked enough where Jake hedges himself and he's able to win. This is an exhibition, so you don't have to do that. I mean, granted, maybe the replacement becomes a real fight. I don't know. That's something to consider. Maybe this becomes more interesting if it's a real fight, if it's a guy he gets and it's a real fight.
With the fight canceled, attention quickly shifted toward new possibilities. Fans and commentators began speculating about who Jake Paul might face next, with names like KSI emerging in discussions. The sudden change of plans shows how unpredictable combat sports can be. When legal problems or personal issues strike, entire events can be reshaped overnight. Replacing Davis not only changes promotional strategies and fight expectations, but also raises concerns about Tank's long-term future. The situation demonstrates how one fighter's personal struggles can ripple across the entire industry, affecting scheduling, marketing, ticket sales, and fan interest.
Tank Davis on November 14th in an exhibition bout at the Kaseya Center in Miami before the fight was canceled on Monday after a civil lawsuit filed by ex-girlfriend Courtney Rozelle accused Davis of battery and aggravated battery, among other things. Had the fight happened, Davis would have been the 7th person on Paul's list of 12 desired opponents, a list that also included Conor McGregor, KSI, Canelo Alvarez, Kamaru Usman, and Paul's older brother Logan. I forgot that Usman was on the fucking list, dude. I forgot that he was like, yeah, let me get a piece of Kamaru Usman in boxing. Oh, okay. To date, he has fought Anisan Gibb, Robinson, Askren, Tyron Woodley twice, Nate Diaz, and Tommy Fury from the list. Paul has also had victories over former UFC fighters Anderson Silva, Mike Perry, and boxers like Andre August, Ryan Borland, Mike Tyson, and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. With the Davis fight off, most of the names on the list crossed off, it's time for a new set of goals for Paul. So here's the new hit list. Oh God, I see number one. One that Paul says...
On the Ariel Helwani show, analysts dug into the broader consequences of Davis's latest lawsuit. They pointed out that this case comes barely 2 months after another legal issue, forming what appears to be a worrying pattern. Such recurring controversies can cause major damage not just to a fighter's career, but also to their personal relationships and public identity. The panel discussed how repeated incidents create an image of instability, something that can be difficult to shake. They emphasized that elite athletes must manage their actions carefully, because one mistake rarely stands alone. Over time, they compound, affecting sponsorships, opportunities, and fan support. For Davis, the consensus was clear: the accumulation of controversies is beginning to overshadow his in-ring achievements.
Aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Lawsuit comes 2 months after Davis's previous domestic violence case was dropped by a different ex-girlfriend and the mother of 2 of the boxer's 3 children. I just think MVP is in the business of being the home of women, right? At this point, like, that's a huge part of their identity. What is their identity? It's Jake Paul and women's boxing. That's their identity right now. And they've done a phenomenal job for the women. And so how, with these allegations lingering and now coming to light 2 weeks before, how can you go through with it? And it sounds like they feel the same way.
That concludes today's video. Stay tuned for upcoming updates.